On my sister's wedding day, she told me to sit near the trash cans. When I stood up for myself, my own father hit me with a candle stand in front of everyone. I fell to the floor, shaking and in pain, while my family acted like I deserved it. But the moment the doors opened and my boyfriend rushed in, the entire ballroom went silent. Because the man who lifted me off that stage was the governor's son. And that was the night my family learned. They should have never broken the daughter they ignored. My name is Hannah, and I was 27 years old on the day my sister got married, the day everything finally broke open. The wedding was held at a beautiful lakeside resort, the kind of place my parents loved to show off. When I arrived, the sun was setting over the water, turning everything gold. People were laughing, cameras were flashing, and music echoed from the ballroom. Everyone looked perfect except me. I walked into the hall alone, holding the small gift I had bought for my sister, Lena. My dress wasn't expensive, but I had ironed it carefully. I tried to look confident, even though my hands were shaking a little. My parents saw me arrive. My mom barely nodded. My dad didn't even look at me. Nothing new. They were too busy fixing Lena's veil, adjusting the flowers around her hair, telling her how beautiful she looked. She did look beautiful, she always did. She was the golden child, the one who never made mistakes, the one they bragged about. And me? I was the quiet daughter. The she's fine daughter. The daughter they never really saw. Still, I forced a smile. Today was supposed to be a happy day. I wanted to be supportive, even if no one cared whether I came or not. When it was finally time for the stage photos, people lined up to congratulate the bride and groom. I waited patiently, clutching my little silver gift box. My heart felt heavy, but hopeful. Maybe today would be different. Maybe for once, my sister would act like we were family. When it was my turn, I stepped onto the stage slowly. Lena looked at me, first at my shoes, then my dress, then my face. Her smile disappeared. In front of everyone, she let out a small, sarcastic laugh. "Oh, you made it," she said loudly, making sure everyone heard. Guests turned and stared at me. I swallowed hard. I just came to congratulate you," I said softly. She glanced at her maid of honor and smirked. Then, in the cruelest tone I had ever heard, she said, "Please, go sit near the trash cans where you belong. Don't ruin my pictures." People gasped quietly. Some smiled awkwardly. A few even laughed. My ears rang. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I felt my face burn with humiliation. All I had wanted was a small moment of kindness, but even that was too much to expect from her. Still, I tried to stay calm. "I'm not here to cause any trouble," I whispered. "I just wanted to say congratulations." She folded her arms across her chest. "No one asked you to come up here. Just go sit somewhere far. Preferably outside, near the trash. It suits you." Her words hit me harder than any slap. My mother watched everything, but she didn't say a word. She just adjusted her pearl necklace and looked away. My father stared at his phone, pretending not to hear. I stood there alone, feeling the weight of every childhood memory coming back. The times she pushed me aside, the times my parents ignored me, the times I stayed silent because it was easier. This time, something inside me cracked. It wasn't anger at first, it was sadness. The kind that sits deep in your chest, like a stone. But sadness has a point where it turns into something else. And that moment was mine. Before I even realized what I was doing, before anyone could stop me, my hand lifted, and I slapped Lena across the face. The entire ballroom fell silent. The music stopped. The guests froze. The photographer dropped his camera, and my sister's eyes filled with shock as she touched her cheek. Everyone stared at me, and I stared right back, my heart pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears. I had no idea that this single moment, this one slap, was about to change everything, because a few seconds later, my father stormed onto the stage. And the rage in his eyes was something I had never seen before. The moment my hand touched Lena's cheek, the world seemed to stop. Her eyes widened. Guests covered their mouths. Someone whispered, Oh my God. For the first time in my life, Lena wasn't the one in control. She wasn't the center of attention because she was beautiful. She was the center because she had been slapped by the sister she believed would always stay silent. But silence has an ending. Before I could even step back, Lena screamed loudly.
Dad.
Look what she did. Her voice echoed through the ballroom. And then I heard footsteps. Fast, heavy, angry. My father pushed through the guests, red-faced, chest heaving. He wasn't looking for the truth. He didn't care what happened. He came ready to defend the daughter he loved and punish the daughter he never valued. Hannah, he shouted. How dare you touch your sister? His voice felt like thunder. I stepped back instinctively. I didn't mean, Dad. She humiliated me. But he didn't listen. He never listened. His eyes swept across the stage and landed on the nearest object. A tall silver candle stand decorated with flowers. Before I could react, he grabbed it with both hands. The guests gasped. My mother reached out weakly. Please don't. But she didn't step forward. She never stepped forward. And then, crack. The candle stand slammed against my shoulder, sending a shock of pain so sharp it felt like fire exploding down my arm and back. My knees buckled. I collapsed to the floor as the world blurred. I heard myself scream, a sound so raw that even the DJ stopped the music completely. My father didn't stop. He didn't even look at my tears. How dare you hit my daughter, he yelled, raising the candle stand again. I crawled backward, one hand gripping my shoulder, the other sliding across the slippery stage floor. I could barely breathe from the pain. Dad, please stop, it hurts, I whispered. But he stepped closer. In that moment, I realized something devastating. He didn't see me as his daughter. He saw me as a mistake he needed to punish. People were frozen.
Too shocked.
Too scared. Too entertained.
To help.
Then Lena, pretending to cry, shouted, Kick her out. She's ruining my wedding. Her voice was shrill, desperate, angry. She wasn't hurt. She was scared that for once, she wasn't the victim. As my father lifted the candle stand again, ready to strike, I covered my head with shaking hands.
Dad, don't.
Please. My voice broke, and tears spilled onto the floor. My father's shadow grew larger as he stepped closer. And then, the ballroom doors swung open, so hard they hit the wall. A cold burst of air rushed in. Everyone turned. And there he was. A tall man in a black suit, jaw tight, eyes burning, chest rising fast, as if he had sprinted straight into the room. It was Ethan, my boyfriend. The one person I thought might not come. The one person who loved me quietly, consistently, without games. The one person my family didn't bother to know. But today,
he came.
And the moment he saw me on the floor, broken, shaking in pain, something inside him snapped. He ran toward me so fast guests stepped aside in fear. Hannah, his voice cracked. What did they do to you? He knelt beside me, touching my cheek with trembling hands. His eyes filled with horror when he saw the bruising starting on my shoulder. My father stepped back, confused. Who the hell are you? Ethan slowly stood. His voice was calm.
Too calm.
I'm the man who loves your daughter. And the man who just watched you assault her in front of 100 people. The whispers began instantly. Wait, isn't that? Is that the governor's son? Oh my God, yes, it's Ethan Grant. Why is he here? The entire room changed. The atmosphere shifted. Suddenly, the daughter they always ignored had someone powerful standing beside her. My father swallowed hard, his anger faltering. But Ethan didn't stop. He took my hand, helping me sit up gently. Then he turned to my family and said in a voice that shook everyone, Your cruelty ends today. The entire ballroom went silent. My father, who only seconds ago was ready to hit me again, now stood frozen. Not because he felt guilt, not because he realized I was hurt, but because he finally understood who Ethan was. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. Guests began whispering louder now, not even trying to hide it. Is that really the governor's son? What is he doing with her? They hurt the governor's son's girlfriend? Oh, they're finished. Lena's perfect smile vanished. Her face turned pale under the stage lights. Ethan didn't look at any of them. His focus stayed on me. Can you stand? He asked softly. My shoulder throbbed, but I nodded weakly. He wrapped one arm carefully around me, lifting me up with gentle strength. Strength I had never once felt for my own family. When I was steady on my feet, he turned toward my father. You hit her with a weapon. In front of witnesses. Do you understand what you've done? My father tried to act bold. She slapped her sister. She deserved. Ethan glared at him, and my father's words died instantly. Nothing justifies beating your own daughter, Ethan said. Nothing. His voice wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. People listened because the truth in it was sharp enough to cut the entire room. Behind us, Lena stomped her foot like a child. Why are you defending her? She hit me first. She's always ruining everything. Ethan didn't even turn toward her. Instead, he looked at the guests, then at my parents, and spoke clearly, so the entire hall heard. I came today because I plan to meet Hannah's family. Because I wanted to tell you all something important. A ripple of excitement moved through the crowd. My heart stopped. My voice shook. Ethan, what are you doing? He squeezed my hand, steady and calm. I was planning to ask your father for permission to marry you. The room erupted in gasps. Even the musicians froze. My mother's eyes widened in disbelief. My father's jaw dropped. Lena shook her head, whispering, No, 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 as if reality was falling apart. Ethan finally turned toward them. But after what I saw today, he looked at my bruised shoulder, then at the candle stand lying on the floor. I realized I don't need anyone's permission, especially not from people who don't care about her. My father stepped forward, trying to recover control. Wait, Mr. Grant, this is a misunderstanding. Hannah provoked. Ethan raised a hand, stopping him immediately. Your daughter was sitting quietly. Your other daughter humiliated her publicly. And you responded by physically attacking the one who did nothing wrong. Then he said the words that changed everything. You don't deserve her. But I do. And I won't let you hurt her again. Lena suddenly burst out. Why her? Why do you want her? She's nothing compared to me. Everyone stared at her. Her voice cracked, desperation dripping from every word. You're the governor's son. Why would you choose her? Ethan's reply was simple, calm, and devastating. Because she has something you never had, Lena. A good heart. Lena staggered back like he had slapped her this time. Her veil slipped off her shoulder. I felt my breath catch. Part of me wanted to cry, not from pain, but because for the first time in my life, someone defended me.
Someone saw me.
Ethan looked at me again, his eyes softening. Let's go, Hannah. You're done with this place. He began guiding me off the stage. But before we reached the exit, something happened that no one expected. Two tall men in black suits stepped inside the ballroom. Not wedding guests, not planners. They were governor's security detail. The entire hall gasped. My father's legs shook. My mother whispered, Oh, dear God. The security chief looked at Ethan and asked, Sir, do you need us to intervene? We received your message. Ethan nodded slightly. My family realized, the moment they hurt me, they didn't just hurt a daughter they never cared about. They hurt the woman the governor's son wanted to marry. And now there would be consequences. The air in the ballroom changed instantly. Just minutes ago, people were laughing, eating, and taking photos. Now, you could hear every breath, every heartbeat, every whisper. The governor's security team stood like a wall behind Ethan, calm, silent, unshakable. My father, who had been bold and violent moments earlier, stepped back as if the floor had turned to fire. He stuttered. Security. Why is security here? This is a private family matter. The security chief looked at him with a blank, professional stare. Sir, assault is not a private matter. My father's mouth opened and closed like he had lost all words. My mother stood frozen, clutching her necklace so tightly it looked like it might snap. Lena, still in her wedding gown, mascara running down her cheeks, shouted. Stop making this dramatic. She slapped me. I'm the victim. Ethan finally turned his head toward her.
His voice was calm, too calm. No, Lena.
You're not the victim. You were the bully. And today the entire world saw it. A loud, stunned gasp moved through the hall. Lena shook her head furiously. Her voice cracked. Why are you taking her side?
She's nothing.
She's always been nothing. The room fell into uncomfortable silence. People stared at her, not with sympathy, but with shock. Ethan stepped forward slightly, still holding my hand. Hannah isn't nothing.
She's kind.
She's patient. She survives the kind of pain that would break most people. And she never deserved the way you all treated her. My eyes filled with tears. Not from hurt this time, but from something warmer. Being defended.
Being valued.
Being seen. Lena threw her bouquet onto the floor. Everyone always picks her now. Why? Why her? Ethan met her eyes with steady disappointment. Because she has a heart, Lena. Something money can't buy. Something popularity can't fake. Something you never cared to grow. Her mouth fell open, and for once, she had no comeback. Security steps in. The security chief turned to Ethan. Sir, do you want to press charges? The question dropped into the room like a stone thrown into water. Fast, heavy, impossible to ignore. My father blanched. His voice shook. Press charges? You can't be serious. Ethan's jaw tightened. You hit her with a metal object. She could have been seriously injured. My father's face turned gray. But I didn't know she was. Ethan cut him off sharply. You didn't need to know who she was. You should have cared who she is. Your daughter. My father's eyes filled with something I had never seen in him before.
Fear.
Real, cold fear. Security moved a little closer. Guests pulled out their phones, not to call for help, but to record. Suddenly, my mother rushed forward. Please, Ethan, please, we didn't mean it. She just gets too emotional, that's all. We love both our daughters. Her voice cracked, fake tears slipping down her cheeks.
She was not apologizing to me.
She was begging to save her reputation. Ethan didn't soften. You don't get to pretend now. Not after hurting her for years. My mother froze. Then Ethan said something that shattered the entire room. I saw everything. Your guests recorded everything. Hannah didn't cause a scene. You did. And it's going to be handled properly. My father's knees buckled like his strength had drained out. No, no. Please don't involve the governor in this. Ethan looked at him with a calm, cold finality. You involved him the second you raised your hand against me.
He paused.
Then added, and the woman I intend to marry. The room exploded in whispers. Marry? He wants to marry her? Oh my God. Lena is going to faint. Lena let out a strangled sound, something between a sob and a scream. This is supposed to be my day. But the day no longer belonged to her. Because the truth was finally louder than her lies. Ethan turns to me. He stepped closer, lowering his voice only for me. Hannah, you don't have to stay here. Not another second. Let me take you away from all this. My throat tightened. I nodded slowly, tears sliding down my cheeks. For the first time, my tears didn't feel like weakness. They felt like release. Ethan gently placed his arm around me, guiding me toward the exit. Every step felt like breaking chains. Every second felt like reclaiming my life. Just before we reached the doors, Ethan turned back one last time. His voice was calm, but powerful. This is the last time any of you hurt her. The last time you make her feel small. She walks away today. Not because she's weak, but because she finally understands her worth. Lena collapsed onto a chair. My mother covered her face. My father stared at the ground, defeated.
And I walked out of that ballroom with someone who actually cared about me for the first time in my life.
The night air felt colder than I expected when we stepped outside the ballroom, but Ethan kept his arm wrapped gently around my shoulders, careful not to touch the bruised area. The parking lot lights glowed softly across the pavement. Behind us, The wedding hall buzzed with chaos, whispers, arguments, panic. But as the doors slowly closed, the noise faded like a distant storm. For the first time in my life, I didn't turn back to look. I didn't want to. Ethan opened the passenger door of his car for me. "Sit, Hannah," he said softly. "You're safe now." Safe. A word I had never associated with family, but somehow felt completely true standing next to him. I lowered myself into the seat, wincing from the sharp pain in my shoulder. Ethan noticed immediately. "You're hurting," he whispered. I nodded, blinking back tears. "It's okay. I've been hurt worse." He paused, kneeling beside the door, so we were eye level. "No," he said firmly. "You've been hurt longer, not worse. And I'm not letting it continue." His words broke something open in me. A warmth spread through my chest. Quiet, steady, unfamiliar. Ethan settled into the driver's seat, started the engine, and turned down the heater so the warm air would help me relax. The road ahead was dark but calm, lined with pine trees swaying in the wind. For a long moment, we didn't speak. Finally, Ethan reached over and took my hand gently. "Hannah, why didn't you ever tell me how bad it was?" I stared out the window at the blur of passing lights. "My family never believed me," I whispered. "They always said I was overreacting, emotional, difficult." After a while, I started believing it too. He squeezed my hand slightly. "You're none of those things. You're the strongest person I've ever met." A tear slipped down my cheek. Today, I felt completely alone. "You weren't," he said softly. "That's why I came." I turned to him, confused. "I didn't even tell you the exact time of the wedding." He smiled faintly, keeping his eyes on the road. "You told me you were scared to go, and that was enough for me to follow." My breath caught. No one had ever done that for me. Not once. Not ever. When we reached the emergency room, Ethan helped me out of the car. He refused to let me walk alone. He kept one hand on my back, steady and warm, guiding me through the sliding doors. Inside, the bright lights made everything feel too real. A nurse approached. "What happened?" Before I could answer, Ethan spoke, quietly but with authority. "She was assaulted at a public event." The nurse's eyes widened. She immediately called for a doctor. Within minutes, I was taken into an examination room. Ethan stayed by my side the entire time, refusing to stand more than a few feet away. The doctor examined my shoulder and arm carefully. "You're lucky," he said. "No bones are broken, but you have a deep muscle bruise and swelling. You'll be in pain for days. Rest and ice will help." Ethan nodded like he was receiving instructions for someone priceless. When the doctor stepped out, Ethan moved closer. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "For everything. For you having to see that. For causing a scene. For ruining." "Stop," he said gently. "You didn't ruin anything. They ruined you for years. And today you finally stood up for yourself." I looked down at my hands. I wasn't brave. I just snapped. Ethan shook his head. "You were brave the moment you survived growing up in that house." I felt tears gather again, but not from pain this time. From finally being understood. He makes a promise. When he realized I was crying, Ethan lifted his hand and touched my cheek softly. "Look at me, Hannah." I raised my eyes. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. "Not after today. Not after seeing what you've lived through. You're not fighting alone anymore. I won't let anyone treat you like that again. Not your sister. Not your father. Not anyone." His voice broke slightly on the last word. Something in my chest loosened. Something that had been tight for 27 years. "Why?" I whispered. "Why do you care so much?" He smiled gently. "Because I love you. And I'm done watching you suffer in silence." For a moment, the world felt still. Just him. Just me. And a promise I had never heard from anyone in my family. "You are worth protecting." The night's end. By the time we left the hospital, the night sky had turned deep blue. The cars were fewer. The streets were quieter. Ethan opened the car door for me again. "Where do you want to go?" he asked softly. I looked at the road, then at him. "Anywhere," I said. As long as it's not back there. He nodded. Good. Then you're coming with me. And for the first time in my entire life, I didn't feel guilty for choosing myself. As the car pulled away from the hospital, I leaned my head against the seat, closed my eyes, and whispered, "Thank you for finding me today." Ethan took my hand again. "I didn't find you, Hannah," he said. "I came for you." And just like that, for the first time ever, I felt chosen. Really, truly chosen. Back at the wedding hall, the moment Ethan and I disappeared through the doors, the silence inside cracked open like glass. Then the storm began. Guests started whispering loudly. Phones came out. Videos replayed on screens. And every second of humiliation, every cruel word, every hit, every scream, began spreading like wildfire. Lena stood frozen at the center of the stage, her wedding gown shining under the chandelier, but her face pale, shaken, destroyed. She hadn't just lost control. She had lost the image she spent her whole life protecting. My father paced back and forth, running his hands over his head, muttering, "This can't be happening. This can't be happening." But it was happening, and nothing they did could stop it. One older woman whispered loudly, "I always knew something was off with that family. Who hits their own daughter like that?" A younger man added, "Imagine assaulting someone in front of a governor's son, they're done." A group of bridesmaids gathered near the stage, anxiously scrolling through their phones. "Oh my God, it's already posted. Look, the video is everywhere." Another said, "Is that Hannah crying? And her dad hitting her? This is awful." Even the wedding photographer, still holding his camera, shook his head. "This is the worst wedding meltdown I've ever seen." Lena stomped her foot, her voice shaking. "Stop recording. Everyone stop. Delete those videos." But her shouting only drew more attention. Guests looked away from their screens and began staring at her. Her mascara streaked down her cheeks. Her hair was falling out of its perfect bun. The confident, glamorous bride was gone. And in her place stood a woman terrified of consequences. She ran toward my mother. "Mom, do something. Fix this. Fix it." My mother, pale and trembling, whispered, I don't know how, sweetheart. I don't know what to do." It was the first honest thing she had said all night. Just when the panic reached its peak, the governor's security team re-entered the hall. Everyone went silent. The leader spoke in a clear, firm voice. "We are here regarding the assault of Miss Hannah Thompson. We have statements, video evidence, and witnesses." My father nearly collapsed. Please wait. Let's talk. Let's fix this privately." But security ignored him. "Mr. Thompson," the officer said calmly, "you will need to come with us for questioning." Lena screamed, No, you can't take him. This is my wedding." But reality didn't care. Two officers approached my father. They didn't handcuff him. Not yet, but they guided him toward the exit. Guests pulled out their phones again, whispering, "This is unbelievable. Her dad is being taken away at her wedding. Poor Hannah, look what she lived with." Lena grabbed a chair and threw it aside, screaming, "This is Hannah's fault. She did this. She ruined everything." But the guests disagreed. A bridesmaid stepped forward. "No, Lena. You ruined everything the moment you humiliated your sister." My mother's knees gave out, and she sank onto a chair, staring blankly at the floor. The DJ slowly turned off the music. The caterers began whispering among themselves. The wedding planner, near tears, held her clipboard and said, We can't continue the event like this." Lena screamed again. "You can't cancel my wedding. It's my perfect day." But it wasn't perfect anymore. People were leaving. Some in silence. Some shaking their heads. Some talking loudly about what they saw. Within 15 minutes, the once beautiful ballroom looked like a battlefield. Decorations still shining, candles still flickering, but the celebration completely dead. And all because of one truth. A truth they never believed would come back to them. My mother's phone rang suddenly. She looked at the screen and gasped. It's the governor." The room froze. Even Lena went silent. My mother answered with a shaking voice. Hello, sir. Yes, yes. I understand. We're so terribly sorry. She nodded repeatedly, tears falling down her face. Of course, yes, we accept full responsibility. I understand. When the call ended, she sobbed into her hands. Lena grabbed her shoulders. What did he say? What did he say? My mother swallowed hard. He said, that what your father did tonight cannot be ignored. He said that Hannah deserves justice. And that we have lost his respect as a family. Lena screamed into the empty air, as if she could somehow pull her life back together. But it was too late. The world finally saw everything they had tried to hide for years. By midnight, the video of the wedding had reached tens of thousands of viewers online. Comments poured in. That poor girl. How could a father do that? She deserves better than that, family. She's lucky that man loves her. And, for the first time in my life, people were finally noticing me. Not as a shadow. Not as the forgotten sister. Not as the quiet one. But as someone who deserved better. Meanwhile, Ethan drove me away from everything, toward a life I didn't think I could have. A life where I was seen. A life where I mattered. A life where love wasn't a war. And as I leaned my head against the car window, watching the lights of the city blur past, I whispered, "It's over, isn't it?" Ethan squeezed my hand gently. "No, Hannah. It's not over. It's just the beginning." The night felt softer as Ethan drove. No shouting. No crying. No one calling me dramatic, difficult, or ungrateful. Just the hum of the engine. The quiet sky. And Ethan's hand holding mine like it was something precious. For the first time, silence didn't hurt. It healed. Ethan pulled into the driveway of a beautiful brick house surrounded by oak trees. Not a mansion, just warm, peaceful, safe. "You can stay here as long as you want," he said, stepping out to open my door. Inside, everything smelled like cinnamon and cedarwood. A soft fireplace crackled in the corner. "This doesn't feel real," I whispered. Ethan looked at me with a small smile. "It's real. And it's yours too if you want it." I swallowed hard, trying not to cry. No one had ever offered me a place where I belonged. He made me tea, wrapped a blanket around my shoulders, and sat beside me on the couch. "You're shaking," he said softly. "I think it's everything crashing down." Ethan touched my cheek gently. "You don't have to hold anything together tonight. Just breathe. I'm here." My eyes burned again, not from pain, but from the unbelievable relief of being cared for. We were sitting quietly when headlights swept across the living room window. A car door shut, then another. Ethan stood up. "My parents are here." My heart jumped. "The governor?" "No, Ethan. I can't. I'm not ready." He took my hand again. "You don't have to impress anyone. They're here because they care. They saw the video." My stomach tightened, but I nodded slowly. The front door opened, and Governor Grant stepped inside, stern, composed, powerful. His wife followed, her eyes gentle and warm. They weren't angry. They weren't disappointed. They looked heartbroken. "For me," the governor spoke first. "Hannah, I'm deeply sorry for what happened tonight. No one should ever experience that, least of all from their own family." I didn't know what to say. I had spent my whole life apologizing, defending myself, begging for kindness. But now, people were apologizing to me. His wife stepped closer. "Sweetheart, are you hurt? Do you need anything?" Her softness made my chest tighten. "No one has ever asked me that before," I murmured. She gently brushed a tear from my cheek. "Well, someone should have." The governor pulled out a chair and sat across from me. "I've already spoken to the police," he said calmly. "What your father did is criminal. But the decision is yours. If you want to press charges, we'll support you. If you don't, we'll respect that too." My hands trembled around my mug. I don't know. I never wanted things to get this big." Governor Grant nodded. "You don't have to make a decision tonight. But I want you to know something." He leaned forward slightly. "You are not alone anymore. If anyone threatens you, hurts you, or tries to shame you, you tell me directly. Ethan's mother added softly. You're family now, Hannah. If you want to be. My breath caught. Family. A word I had never truly understood until tonight. I woke up in Ethan's guest room, sunlight warming the blankets. My shoulder ached, but the heaviness in my heart felt lighter. Ethan knocked softly and stepped in with breakfast. You okay? He asked. I nodded. I think for the first time, yes. We sat together quietly until he took a deep breath. There's something I didn't get to do last night. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. My heart jumped again. Hannah, I wasn't planning to do this at a hospital or after a nightmare of a wedding. But none of that matters now. He opened the box. A simple, elegant ring sparkled inside. I love you. I choose you. Not because of your past. Not because of your family. But because you are the most resilient, kind, beautiful soul I've ever known. He held the ring gently. So, will you marry me? I covered my mouth as tears spilled down my face. Not tears of sadness. Not tears of hurt. Tears of finally being wanted. Yes, I whispered. Yes, I will. Ethan slipped the ring onto my finger and pulled me into his arms. For 27 years, I had lived in a house where love was conditional, where silence meant survival, where being invisible was easier than being hurt. But now I was held by someone who saw me, someone who valued me, someone who chose me, and I chose myself too. Later that week, I watched from the porch as the sun set, golden, warm, peaceful. Ethan wrapped his arms around me from behind. You're safe now, he whispered into my hair. I leaned against him, letting that truth settle. My sister lost everything, I said quietly. The wedding is canceled. People know what she did. Ethan kissed my cheek. That's her fallout. Yours is freedom. I looked at the ring on my finger, at the home behind me, at the man beside me, and I whispered, for the first time, I'm not living in the shadows. He squeezed me gently. You never belonged there. You just needed someone to remind you. And as the sky faded into a soft evening glow, I realized, sometimes your life begins on the same day your old life ends.